In this class, we are going to see a program which will demonstrate the use or the purpose of a service in Android. We have already discussed that there are four important components in Android, or in other words, ABCs of Android: activity, broadcast receiver, content provider, and services. Okay, so we have already seen a little bit more extensively on activities. So today's class, we'll be seeing a little bit more on services. Okay, so just a recap of what is a service. It is something which runs in the background. Okay, it's a long running process which runs in the background and does not have an user interface or a UI. Okay, it doesn't have a UI, but it runs in the background for you can put long running operations to the service. Okay, one more point I want you to remember is that activity, service, all these things are components of the application. Okay, you cannot say activities are application. You got please understand those words, guys. Many activities together makes one application. Vice versa will not say. I cannot say many applications make one activity. No, I hope you got the idea. Application is the full app, the software. Okay, the app which you have installed in your phone. That app can have n number of activities, n number of services, n number of broadcast receivers, n number of content providers. I hope you follow this, right? So these are all components of an app, one app. So right now I have one app. I'm going to make this app use one activity. Obviously, there's already one activity which is called main activity. Then I'm also going to create one more component called as a service. And what am I going to do in that service is just to use a music. Okay, so I'm going to create a music player, not music player as such, but then just to demonstrate the concept of a service using a music file. Because music running, if it is part of the activity, it might stop as soon as you leave the activity. But if I put the music as part of a service, the music will keep continuing in the background even if I've destroyed the activity, not the app, the activity. I hope this is clear. So let me just quickly do a program. The idea of the program is I'm going to put two buttons here. When you click on one button, the play button, I'm going to call a service which I'll be creating shortly. I'll be creating a service which will be starting to play that music. Okay, and when you click on the second button, stop button, the music should stop. That's all. So this is my target for today's program. Okay, I've already done this, but I'm just repeating it for because we have missed the recording. Okay, so let me just delete what I did in the last class also. I've deleted everything. I forgot about this. Let me delete this. Okay, so let me begin. The first step is design. So let me just design the page first. One is one I've already put a label yesterday, so I'll just leave it as it is. I'm going to put two buttons, but instead of using a regular button, I'm going to use an image button. So let me just drag and drop two image buttons. And as soon as I do that, the system will tell me to choose a particular image. Okay, whichever image you want. Yesterday itself, I had discussed about this, saying that you can use icons or you can use images. You can download images and put them in your folder, and you can start working with them also. Okay, that is entirely up to you which image you want to use. Since I don't want to waste time with that, I'm going to use images or icons which are there inside Android. So I'm going to choose this icon for play button. I'm going to just choose that. Okay, so that will be the first one. Second image button, I'll just drag and drop one more, and I'll make it as stop or pause. Okay, whatever we have, whichever icon you have. You have a lot of icons, guys, colored and black and white one. You can choose whichever is available inside, or you can even add something from outside. Okay, so I've just kept two buttons, two image buttons. Let me just change the properties of them. Let me go to attributes, and common attributes. I'm going to look for something called margin. Okay, so in the margin, I'll give a bigger margin because I want them far away and also not the same size. Okay, so margin is proper. Now the next thing what I'm going to do is the size. Okay, the way in which the control is kept is kind of rectangle. I want to make it as a square. So I'm not going to keep match parent wrap, and I'm going to give manually some size. So let me give 120 dp. Okay, width and 120 dp height. So it looks like a small button, but it is on the left side. So let me just put the gravity of the layout to center. Okay, I've got the controls in the middle and it is done. Now what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to do individual controls because I've got the common properties ready. So let me just click on the first button, and let me change a few things. Number one is the ID. Let me put it as BTN play, the button which is going to be used to play the music. Okay. And also some more things I'll just change. Yesterday I didn't do much, but I thought I'll do that so that the design doesn't look so plain. One is the background, the other one is the icon size. Look at the icon size is very small compared to the size of the button itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the background. So let me click here, and you can choose whatever background you want. The background can be an image itself, or it can be just a color. So in this case, let me just choose a color. Let me choose this color and click on OK. So the background color has changed, but look at the icon, like icon is too small. So what I'll do is I'll say scale that icon. Right now it is center of the button. Center of the button is by default, it goes to the center. So you can also choose a little bit like this: fit start, fit end, center, matrix, fit X and Y. So I'm going to say fit X and Y so that it doesn't look too small. Now it's made a little bit bigger icon because there's nothing else in my control. So I've just put that. If you want anything else, you can add them also. Okay. Color, font, all those things. Let me go to the next one. Second button also, I'll do the same thing. First, I'll give a name. This button, I'll name it as BTN stop or BTN pause, whatever you want to name it. Okay, I'll refractor it. And then I'll go to the background color. Let me change the background color to, let's say, teal. I'll click on this. Okay, that is done. And also the scale type, I'll say fit X comma Y, which means both the sides. So now I have two buttons. So this looks a little bit more better than the black and white one. Okay. So anyway, here I have the design part is done. That's all my work here. Now, before I go to the services part, let me just make sure that these buttons react appropriately. Then I'll write the code. So let me go to main activity. There are two buttons, so I'll not use the first method of attaching a listener, the attaching it to the object itself. That I'll not do. Rather, I'll try to do attach it to the class and then attach them or attach these objects to this particular class. So second method I'm going to follow. I'm going to put implements on click listener. Okay, yesterday itself I told you this. On click listener, there are two on click listeners. Please choose the one which corresponds to view, because you are going to look for the one which clicks, or when the user clicks on a particular view, that is button. So let me fix that error. Because you have implemented interface, you should implement all its methods. So just click on OK, and it implemented that particular method. One work is done. The next thing what we are going to do is to make sure that when you click on these two buttons which are there in the design, it should react. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a global variable private image button. Please note, it is not a normal button, it's an image button. So you cannot typecast between a button and an image button. Both are different classes. So I'll just name it as play BTN and pause BTN or stop BTN, whatever name you want to give. Okay, so two buttons, I have initialized them, so I have to instantiate them on create. So let me do that. Play btn is equal to find view by id r.id.btn play. This I think is by now familiar to you guys, so I'll not take much time in explaining these. Find view by id r.id.btn stop. Okay. Now all I've done is I've just mapped whatever is there in the design to the code. I've not asked these buttons to start listening to this class. So how do I do that? Call the buttons object and say set on click listener, on click listener to this class. Same thing to the pause button also. Pause btn dot set on click listener to this class. So what I've done so far is I've just mapped whatever design controls I have, two buttons. I have mapped them to Java here, and then I've told this two objects to start listening to this class which implements on click listener, and this will be called every time you click on play or pause. Either two of these buttons, this particular line number 26 will be called, and this V will be the button which was clicked on. So whichever button you are clicking on, that will be passed as the view. Please remember that. Okay. So in the last class, I had told about a simple way of finding out which button was clicked, because both the buttons will take you to the same place. So I'll write a simple if condition and I'll comment it out like how I did yesterday. I'm going to say v dot get id. Get the ID of the control which was clicked on, and then compare it with r.id.btn play. Okay, in this case, if it is this button which was clicked, do something. Okay, and I'll write else if v dot get id is equal to let's say r dot id dot btn pause or stop. Okay, this is one way of writing the code. Okay, so you can write it this way, or this is what I commented out yesterday, and I told I'll be finding a different way to write it in a simpler, much simpler fashion, because I've already done the mapping of this particular ID to a particular object. So let me just call that object also. This is another way of writing. If v, not even v dot, you can just write if v is equal to, if that view is equal to btn, play btn. Okay, do something else. If uh, v is equal to pause btn, then do something else. I hope you can see that. Okay, so this is how we are going to write this times code. Okay, this what I've commented is what I wrote in the last class. This is another way of writing the same code, because I've already mapped them to an object, and that object only is passed to this onClick method. So I'm just directly comparing that object with this object. If this is the same object you're talking about, do something. Okay, this is what you are going to write in the main activity part, only this much. The second part what we are going to do today is the service part. Okay, now instead of adding a new activity, because why don't I just start playing the song here in this activity itself? If I start playing the song in the activity, when the activity gets destroyed, or when the activity is paused or stopped, okay, music also should stop, because the activity itself is not there. So since the music is attached to the activity, when you destroy the activity, music also will stop. I don't want that. So what am I supposed to do? Okay, so the best example of putting it in the activity itself is your WhatsApp voice message. Okay, just think about it. Somebody sent you a voice message and you're listening in that chat window. Okay, let's say that a particular person has sent a voice message and you are in that particular person's chat window. Okay, you are now listening to that voice message. At that time, you press the back button. When you press the back button or you press the home button, you come out of that activity. Okay, the activity is nothing but your friend's chat screen. Okay, you and your friend's chat screen is there, and when you come out of that chat screen, immediately that voice message will stop playing. Why is it stopping that playing part? Is because that code was attached to an activity. So when you come out of the activity, voice message should stop. So while I'm listening to somebody's voice message, if I press the back button and come to the chat screen, the overall chat screen, if I come, my music or the voice message what you sent will stop. Reason is because it is attached to an activity. But if it was attached to a service, it will keep running even if you have come out of that particular thing. But in WhatsApp, it is not required to run as a service. It should be running as part of the activity. But here I am demonstrating services, so I'm using this scenario. Okay, so let me go back to my project. Let me add a new service. Before that, there is a file called manifest. I talked about it yesterday. Okay, I've given a little bit more insight on this, but I'll just try to make it simple. Manifest is the controller file of your Android app. If this file does not exist, your app does not exist. Even though you have written so much of code here, if this one small file is missing, your app will not get deployed. Okay, remember that. So this app, the tag called application should have all the components which you are utilizing in your application. All components. Okay, for example, I have right now only one component, activity. So you see there is an activity tag mentioned inside this particular application. So this is now registered to the manifest, or this activity is right now registered to this particular application. If I add another service, okay, that service also should be part of an application. All right, so that's why I kept this part here. And yesterday I was talking about this dot main activity. What do you mean by dot main activity? The dot represents class in CSS. Same thing here in XML. Through XML, if I want to refer to a class, I just use the word dot. Okay, so wherever you see the word dot main activity, it just means class name called as main activity. Okay, now let me right click and add a new service. So right click on the app, I'll add new service. Let me just add a service. Okay, and while you are adding a service, please note there is no user interface or UI here. Okay, yesterday what I showed you was my old Android Studio 4.1, I guess. This is 4.2, so it does not show you any design part because there is no design here in service. Service is basically running without a UI, so nothing is there, just the name of the class, what language, where is the target, that's all. So class name, you see my service is there. I'll remove that word my and I'll put the word music. It's always recommended to keep your components in a name so that while you read the name itself, you should be able to understand what it is. Okay, so keep that habit, guys. It's not compulsory, but it is always recommended to keep the file name makes sense. When you read the file name, you should be able to remember what was there inside that particular file name. Okay, so let me just type the word music service and click on finish. Okay, once I have created a music service, let me just come back to manifest and see whether it is registered to the manifest. Okay, my app right now has two components. What are the two components? One activity, one service. Okay, I hope you guys can see that, right? Okay, so I have one service, which again dot music service. What do you mean by dot music service? A class called as music service dot java is getting created. Okay, music service extends service, which means it is the child of the base class called as service, right? That's all. Now what we did so far is just create an activity, put two buttons. When you click on these activity, I want the service to start running. Okay, what do you want to happen? What do you want to happen in this particular service when you click on start, or when you start the service? What do you want me to do? Okay, for that purpose, I need to play a music, right? So I need some song. Okay, how do I put that? Where do I put this song? Where do I put the mp3 file? I cannot put it in manifest because it only takes one file, which is android manifest.xml. Second one, I cannot put it in Java because it's an MP3 file. It's not a Java file, so it should not go to Java. So obviously, it should come to resources folder. In resources folder, right now there is drawable, layout, map values. Drawable is for images, layout is for the design of my activity, map is for the icon which automatically adapts to the screen size. Values is basically text values. Most of them are text values. Okay, and colors and themes and all those things, like themes are like nothing but CSS. Okay, here in android, if you want to give a style to an app, you can write it in themes.xml. That I want you to explore on your own. Okay, and strings are basically, all these things are text. So where will I put mp3 file? Okay, the simplest thing is mp3 file is not something which can be directly opened by notepad or IDE. Okay, it cannot be opened in jcreator, it cannot be opened in notepad++. You cannot open that mp3 file because it has to get processed by an mp3 player or a media player for that sake. Okay, so in order for that, we can call them as unprocessed files. Okay, these are all processed files, whatever we are using, because they are text files. It can be just opened by my ID and I can still work XML, Java, and all these things what we have come across so far are just XML and Java files. Nothing else has come so far. But this is a new type of file and it requires to be processed. If it is not processed, there is another word in English for not processed or unprocessed ones. We call them as raw data. Okay, these are raw data, mp3 files, avi files, wave files, okay, AAC files. All these files are basically raw files, and they cannot be directly run by an operating system unless you have a decoder, okay, or something which will play that particular song or play that particular file. Let it be a video or audio, whatever it means. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do is, I did this yesterday, I'm doing it again. I'm going to right click on resources folder and say new Android resource directory, because you cannot directly put the file. You have to create a folder, or in other words, you have to create a package. Okay, or organize them well. You see that already whatever folder they have created, they have never put any XML file directly in the resources folder. Rather, they have just put folders. In those folders, you have some files. Okay, that's the tradition. So what I'll do is, let me just right click on resources folder, create a new Android resource directory. And what type of directory is this? This directory is not going to hold values. This directory is not going to hold colors or font or layouts or menu or anything, but rather this is going to hold raw data. So I'm going to just choose raw and click on OK. So there's a folder called raw created here in my resources folder. Now let me go to my operating system and find the mp3 file which I want to play. So let me just open my music folder. There is one file called instrumental.mp3 which I used yesterday. Same thing I'm using. Okay, I'm going to just copy that and let's go back to Android Studio and right click on that same raw folder which I just created and paste. While I'm pasting it, Android Studio will pull up another dialog saying that where do you want to copy it to? Okay, so I'm going to copy it to a particular folder which I already know where it's going to go, but it is giving you a chance to name it. Okay, I told this previously, I'm repeating it again. Resources cannot have capital letters. They should not start with numbers. They should not have spaces. Okay, they can be separated by the two words. If they are there, they can be separated by a underscore, not by a space. Please remember that. Okay, so I'm going to just change it to instrumental, which is small letter I, so that there's no issues at all here, and click on OK. So now in the raw file, you have instrumental.mp3 file added. Just like how I told yesterday, you are not expected to put mp3 files like this directly into your Android project, because it will make your project heftier, or APK file heftier. Okay, if it's a game, yeah, but if it's a normal application, try to compress this audio so that it takes only KBs. Right now, what I've put is around 3 MB or 4 MB. Okay, so what happens? My app will be some MB plus 4 MB. So that is not expected for a simple app like this. It's better not to put MP3 files directly here. So you might ask, what is the second option? What is another option to do this? You can put the URI. You can put it in the server or something, and you can call the URI of that particular MP3 file here. In that case, your app will be very small, very minimal. Okay, but it will be playing audio, but the audio is not coming from your system, it is coming from a server. That is also possible in case your app is internet dependent. If you want an offline app, you will have to compress the audio in such a way it doesn't lose its quality. Okay, but you can put it in your app itself. Alright, multiple files can be put, no problem. Only thing is you'll have to create appropriate folders and put them, not directly put them into the resources folder. Okay, that's all. Now my MP3 file is ready. All I need to do is to create a place where the service starts. As soon as the service starts, I want the music to start playing. And as soon as the service ends or gets destroyed, I want this music to stop. How do I write this? Okay, so first of all, you guys need to remember that I need to create a media player. You cannot directly play a music in Android. We create an object of media player, which is already inbuilt here in Android, android.media. Okay, let me just say media player. Let me just name it as player or media player, whatever you want to name it as. Okay, and I'm going to look at service lifecycle. As soon as the service starts, how do I write it? On create. As soon as you call the service, what do you want me to do? One. And when will this service be closed or destroyed? On destroyed. Two lifecycle methods are repeating in activity as well as in service, which I've already discussed in the theory session, which is there in YouTube. Please check that. Okay, but now here what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this media player. I'm going to create an object of this player using this particular MP3 file. And then I'm going to ask the player to play it. That's all. So how do I do that? Here I have only initialized it. Now I'm going to instantiate this particular field called player is equal to media player dot create. That's the code, guys, to use or to create a media player object. Okay, there are some parameters you need to pass to that. One is context. From where? Okay, context means where in that, which environment are you talking about, which environment are you referring to? Okay, so if I write the context here as activity, okay, when the activity closes, media player also will close. So if I wrote this code, the same code, I can write it in activity also. When I write it in the activity, what will be the context of that activity? That activity. For example, if I write the code here saying that media player dot create within brackets this, it refers to this activity. So when the activity destroys, it automatically will get destroyed also. But when I write the same thing in a service, okay, when I say this here, who am I referring to? The context here is this service. So service will not get destroyed when an activity gets destroyed because service has its own life cycle. Alright, second parameter which I need to pass is mostly they will be URIs. That's why you get suggestion on the top as URI. Second one, you are getting suggestion as resource ID. Okay, first one is only when it holds good when you are not actually having the file in your app, but rather it is coming from somewhere. Okay, you are taking it from a local network or you're taking it from a remote network, doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the URI part, but I am actually having the file in my system itself, in my app itself. So I'm going to refer to it as resource ID because it's inside the resources folder. You guys already by now should be very thorough that anything and everything inside the resources folder will be having a unique integer ID. This is a concept which you cannot forget, guys. You have to remember this, that everything which is there in the resources folder, when it compiles and it runs, it gets converted to Java, and Java creates one unique integer ID to identify the resource which is there, and it is normally called as resource ID. Data type is integer. So how do I refer to this MP3 file? It is in resources folder. So when it comes to Java, it will be capital letter R and then raw, then instrumental. So let me just type R dot. Please note this R belongs to my project, which means this is what I created. So the package name should be com.thomas.servicedemo.r. Okay, then I am going to look for a folder called raw. Do I have that? Yes, there is a class called com.thomas.servicedemo.r.raw. Okay, then inside raw, what do you have? I have my file which I just created now, instrumental. File extension is not coming because it is just the ID which I'm looking for. Okay, I'm looking for this word. This is the keyword which was created, and this is the music which I'm trying to play. Okay, next line, all I'm going to write is player.start. what have I done here? I've only told this service to start playing this particular media file. That's all. Okay, so what should I do in the destroy part? It's very simple. Player, by the way, please note on create, I've created a global variable player, and since it is available globally, I can call it here directly also. Okay, and as soon as the on create is called, I'm initializing this player with this particular song and asking this song to start playing. And when the service is getting destroyed, and then what do you want me to do? I want you to say player dot stop, or you can say player dot pause. Okay, I leave it to you. I can just say when the service gets destroyed, stop the player. Okay, that's all. Nothing else I'm writing. I'm not writing any pause and all those things. I've just kept this bind on bottom. I'm not touching that bind also because it's not a bound service. If it's a bound service, I should see some user interface, right? But I'm not creating a user interface here. Okay, so that's why I'm leaving it as it is. Now let me go to the activity. So service part, that's all guys. I hope this is clear to you guys. So all I'm trying to do is as soon as this service gets initialized or started or created, you should start playing this song. Okay, but when the service gets destroyed, I wanted to stop the song. That's all. This is my target here. Let me go back to main activity and let me link it. Okay, so how do I link it? First of all, you should understand that when you click on a play button, I want the service to start the music. Okay, service is a component, activity is a component. They cannot directly call each other. Okay, you saw that between even two activities like main activity and fibo activity, we had done that. They cannot call them each directly. You need an intermediate, you need some keyword here. Okay, if you remember, that keyword which we had used in that program was intent. Okay, so same thing here. You have to first create an intent to go from activity to service. So I'll create an object of intent, intent space I or music intent. Okay, service intent, whatever you want to name. I leave it to you guys. The naming convention, I'll talk about it shortly now. Okay, service intent is equal to new intent. And this one, you're supposed to pass two parameters. From where to where? From here, which means this class, go to music service dot class. This is what I want. I'm created an intent which has two from and to address from this class to this class. Music service dot class. Okay, that's all. My service is ready. Service intent is ready. Now all I'm going to say is if the button which you have clicked is a play button, what do you want me to do? Start service, not start activity. Previous program I wrote intent from main activity to Fabo activity. Then I said start activity. Within brackets I pass the intents object. Here I'm going to say start service and pass the intents object, which is nothing but service intent. Done. That's all. Okay, this is starting this service. Okay, if you have clicked on the pause button, what do you want me to do? Stop the service. Which service? Same service, service intent. Done. Okay, that's all I've written, guys. So as soon as you click on the play button, I'm going to say start service with this intent. What does this intent say? Go from this class to music service class. Okay, again, stop service means again it is calling the service intent which says from this class to music service dot class. Okay, so basically both will take you to the next service, but one will start the service, which means on create will be called. One will stop the service, which will mean on destroy will be called. That's all. Okay, I think our work here is done. Let me just check once again whether I've done everything. I have designed. When I run this activity and if you click on the button, okay, this particular block of code will be called. And start service will just start this particular service, which means music should start playing. Let me just try that. Let me run the program. Okay, in the meantime, while the program is running, also I need you to, in this class, I'll do one more thing extra to understand. This is a service. I told you in the beginning of the service theory that there are two types of service. One is custom service, what we created. This is a custom service because I created it. Okay, but what if there are, I told you the opposite to that was system services. The system itself has a lot of inbuilt services. Okay, so how do I utilize my system services? And some examples. In this case, the best example would be to use a system volume. That is a very important thing, right? So I'll talk about it once we have seen whether this program works or not. Okay, then we'll come back. Let's understand services clearly and then we'll come back to this particular program. Okay, so now my app is started on the services demo and the play and pause button is working. They are not so clear. I hope you can see that because I said fit the entire size of the size of the button. But then that's not right. You're supposed to use good images okay, which are scalable. These are not scalable images, because if it runs in a bigger screen, it look more blur. Okay, but anyway, our idea is only to see the service part working. So let me just click on play. Okay, so some song is playing now, some music is playing, and let me just click on pause. It stopped. Okay, so but there is no big difference if I written the code here in activity itself. The difference starts when you start playing the song and the service has now started. Okay, then I click on back button. You know what happens when I click on the back button on an activity? It gets destroyed. So let me just click on back button. Now the activity is destroyed, but the song is still playing. You can see that the song is still playing. I'm able to use anything I want. I can go to Google, okay, I can go to Drive, I can go to Files, I can open anything, and I can keep working with my system apps. But my other app is still playing that music in the background. Let me just reduce the volume. Okay, but the music is still going on in the background, guys. I hope you can understand that, right? The music is still going on, and I've opened this app and I'm working with this, and all those things are working. Let me just go back to my app. Okay, I am right now, this particular app is not restarted, it is on create, it's been called, and the service has just started once again, but music is still going on. I hope you can understand what I'm saying, right? So this is why it's not dependent on the activity, rather it is dependent on the service. It's running in the background. It's a long running process. It can keep running in the background. If I kept this player on loop, okay, it will keep running. Now, the second thing what I want you to understand is I'm doing something now. I'm going to just click on the back button. I've destroyed the activity. Let me go to the recently used ones and remove this particular app from the memory. I'm going to do this. Please note what happens. Okay, what happened? Please understand this. The service or activity, they both are part of an app. Okay, if the app is removed from memory, so are its components. You follow what I'm saying? Unless it is registered to run in the background. Okay, registered in the sense taken permission and then registered. Unless that is done, once you remove that app from memory, services normally should stop. It stopped, the music stopped. Okay, I did not click on stop. Okay, I did not do anything else. But when I removed it from memory, my music stopped, because when I killed the process of my app, the process also with the activity and service got destroyed. That's why I'm not able to listen to the music now. Okay, I hope this is clear. So my program is working with services. Now, as I was saying, this is one service, right? But what if the user clicks on this particular music? At that time, most of you would have seen this in your voice message in WhatsApp. Okay, when you're trying to listen to the voice message when you are in muted mode. Okay, let's say that your phone is in mute and you're trying to listen to a voice message. Okay, what will WhatsApp tell you? WhatsApp will basically tell you, please turn the volume up and then listen. Okay, that is why, because the system knows that the volume is in zero. It is zero level, which means you will not be able to listen to that voice message which has been sent. Okay, same thing we can also apply, right? All right, we can also find out whether the phone is on mute. Let's say, for example, I click my volume and I put the volume fully down. Now, no sound at all. Okay, right now I am in zero, no sound. Now I am opening that app and clicking on play. Okay, you know that the code is correct and it was playing just a minute ago. I didn't even reinstall. The same app I'm running. The music is still running, guys. Please understand that. But the volume is zero. That's why you're not able to listen. Let me just increase the volume. Okay, so your app, people who do not know that their phone is on mute or the phone's volume has gone down, will think my app is not working now. Okay, that is something which any person who creates an audio player should keep in mind. Okay, now I've clicked on play and the music is playing in the background. Okay, but I'm not able to listen to it. The reason is because this is above my app, because this is the volume of the phone. This is a system service. The volume is a system service. I showed you in the last class about that. Okay, I think once I stopped that audio service on the theory class, my recording software got blocked because audio was blocked, right? So after that, I could not show. You can see that, you can check that video what I've put. The moment I stopped the audio, recording software stopped because I stopped the audio service. My recording app was dependent on that particular service of audio running. So after that, none of my voice is recorded. So I cut the remaining part of the video, but I think I've already covered everything which is required. So you can understand that's a very, very essential thing. But this volume is not in my hands. This is not in my hands. Okay, please note, this is not in the developer's hands. It is completely in your hand. Okay, which means the volume of my phone is dependent on me, not on the app which you have installed. Okay, any app which you have installed cannot increase the volume automatically. You only have to go and increase the volume or remove it from mute mode or etc etc. So keeping that in mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the code in such a way that if the volume is lesser than 1 or lesser than 0 is this one. Okay, this is 1, but 1 also you won't be able to make out that it is playing. So I'm just going to say, unless it is a little bit if it is not on mute, okay, I'm not going to play the song, but rather I'm going to tell the user to increase the volume and then try again. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. How do I do that? Okay, I hope you got the requirement, guys. I'm adding it on to the same program what we have done, so that we'll understand what is the system service and what is the service which the user created. Now you can see that. Let me just stop this. Okay, now you can see that the service, this here you see, what you see here is the service which I created, because user defined service one. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that the system, when the user clicks on the play button, okay, I want to check what is the volume level of music in my phone. Okay, there are different streams, guys. I hope most of you would have seen this. Let me just open that panel. You can see there are different streams in music. In all recent Android phones, you have that. Okay, so I think it's not opening. Let me just see 1 minute. The emulators are always a problem, but anyway, let me just see sound. Okay, let me just go to the sound part. You see there are different streams here. I hope you guys can notice that, right? Okay, so I'll just close the UI. All right, so here you see media volume, call volume, ringtone volume, alarm volume. All these things are different streams. Earlier in the original phone we had, there's only one volume. Okay, that volume will control everything. What volume you keep for the call, the same volume will be there for media. All those things were there. Then they started putting it as streams. Like while I'm on a call, what volume I have is different. Okay, what when my notification comes, that's a different sound ringing. The caller tune what I have, okay, the ringtone what I have, and the notification what I have, that is a different stream. Okay, if I'm listening to a song or if I'm watching a video, that is media volume. Okay, when I'm on the call and I'm speaking in that volume, that is called call volume. Then when my phone is ringing or notifications are coming, then it is this particular volume. Then for alarm, there's a different volume. There are four streams in my phone. Okay, and the sounds are coming from four different streams, but all the four are sound. All the four requires a speaker of your phone. Okay, this one requires the head speaker. Okay, so the headphone speaker. All right, so all those things, these are all streams inside volume. Okay, and who is controlling all these things? One person. Okay, most of you would have seen that the architecture of Android. When I did that, last level was operating system. Just above that, you had driver manager. A lot of managers were there. Okay, here we call somebody called as the audio manager. Okay, when I say audio, I mean any audio, not just media, not just call, not just ringtone. Okay, any audio for that sake is controlled by somebody called as the audio manager. Okay, keep this in mind. With that, let me write the code. So how do I get the volume level? Right now I've kept it here. Okay, most of you know that it is basically a 10 line. Okay, so if I keep it here, when I keep it towards the end, it is 0. Okay, then 1 2 3 4 5 6, like that it goes till 10. Okay, this is the media volume bar. Okay, all the volume bars go from 0 to 10. 0 means no sound. 1 is very light, 10 is very loud. Okay, I hope you got it what I'm saying. Okay, with that in mind, let me try to use this system service. By the way, this is not my service. This is not written by me. Okay, I'm going to use this service to find out what is the level of audio in my media stream. Okay, the media music stream. Okay, and I'm going to find what is the audio level, and if it is less than 1, I'm going to put a message saying that please raise the volume, increase the volume. Okay, and then I will continue. So let me just see how to write this code. So first thing you need to write here is the code or to call audio manager. Please note, I'm going to call somebody called audio manager, and let me just name it as audio manager itself, or AM, whatever you want. Okay, is equal to, I am going to call, please note what I am trying to do here is I'm going to use a inbuilt method which is called get system service. Here you set start service because you created it. Okay, since you have created it, you can tell when to start it, when to stop it. But the one which I am about to call is not belonging to my app. I did not create it. So it is there in the system. It is there in whichever phone or emulator you are deploying it on. So I'm going to write the word saying get system service. That's all. Remember this word. I'm going to say get system service. That's all. Okay. And what am I supposed to pass there? One, you can pass the audio manager's class name. Okay, if you know it, I do not know it. But instead of that, there's one more on the top, string name. Just give me the name of the service which you want to call. The name of the service which I want to call is audio service. Okay, please remember audio service. I did not create that service. My service name is music service. Okay, it's inside this particular project alone. It is not available to any other app. Only this app can access this service. But the one which I am trying to call is not my service. It is a system service. So every system service has a unique name and their names are final or constant names. Please remember in Java, all your variable names will be in camel case most of the time. For example, you see this name came automatically. All right. So I've given audio manager. Please note audio is in small letter, M is capital letter. Here capital A, capital M means it's class name. Camel case, if you see, it is object name. All right. Please remember this. That's very important. Second thing is if you see a word which is written in complete capital letter. Okay, I think right now nothing is there. I'll show you shortly. If you see a variable which is in complete capital letters, please understand this, guys. It's very essential to get the flow of how this works. If you see a variable which has complete capital letter, that is nothing but private static final. Okay, these three, if you put these three access modifiers to a particular variable, that variable will act like a constant variable. Okay, in other programming languages you have the word called const to indicate that the variable is constant. You cannot modify it later. But in Java you don't have the concept of constant. But if you see a variable which says private static final, okay, if these three words are there in front of a particular keyword, then that word is a constant value. Now let me just press control space. I am not going to type anything, but rather I'm just going to press control space and start typing the word audio. Okay, I'm just going to type the word audio and let's see what are the suggestions I get. Okay, all right, I'm getting audio manager, but it is not in full caps. Let me just put another caps. You can see that here audio service, and they have put the word final F. Okay, it's a final variable or a field which is equal to the word called audio. You cannot change it. You need not change it. Just click on this. It says you see that's full caps. Okay, if you see a word which is full caps, what does it mean? It means it's a final or a constant value. For your understanding, use the word constant. But when somebody asks you what it is, okay, you can see that below that you have android.content public static final string. Okay, it's a static final. The moment you put that, you cannot modify it once it is created. And who created this? Android.content. System created it, not me. Okay, I'm just calling this audio service. Now, there is an error coming. Obviously, there should be an error because through this method called get system service, what are the other services you can call? You can call a Bluetooth service. Okay, you can call Wi-Fi service. Okay, you can call a lot of services are available. All right, so you have NFC service. You can call a lot of services, but method name is same, get system service. Okay, so when I put audio service, I know that I'm looking for audio, but where are you trying to put that service into picture? It is audio manager. So what am I supposed to do? Let me click on it and say it just gives you the first choice. Cast it. Okay, whatever service you are getting based on this, cast it into the appropriate manager. Right now it says cast to audio manager. Let me just cast it. Done. Okay, why am I focused on this one line so much is because later when I'm using alarm service or any other notification service or something like that, the syntax will be ditto, same. Only one difference will be instead of audio manager, I'll use notification manager or alarm manager or some manager here. Okay, this code will be the same, get system service. What I'm passing here will be the service's name, which is a constant name value. Okay, whatever you see in capital letter has a constant value assigned to it, which you cannot change. Okay, that's it. So my audio service, audio manager is ready. Now, I want the audio manager to get me what is the volume level in my phone in the specific service of music. Okay, so how do I create that? I already told you it is a number between 0 to 10. So I can always store it in integer. So I'm going to name that value as volume underscore level. Okay, from where will I get the level of volume? From the audio manager, obviously. From audio manager, I am going to call and say get stream volume. Okay, which stream? You have to tell that also. Please note that. I told you there are 4 streams in my phone. I just showed you in the emulator. There is call, there is alarm, there is notification, there is media. There are 4 things. Which one do you want? I want the stream which is called for music. Okay, which one is relevant to music? Okay, please note that design what the system is showing. In this one, which one is music? Media volume. This is what I am looking for, not the call, ringtone, alarm, and all those things, because there's not a ringtone which is going to get played. Okay, so I am going to see that's also a constant value. So I'm going to just start pressing control space and looking for capital letter words. Okay, you can see that a lot of streams available. Which stream am I looking for? Okay, stream notification, stream ringtone, stream system, voice call, alarm, like that. A lot of streams are there. I am looking for the one which says music. That's all. Okay, these 2 lines are enough to get the call the audio manager, and from the audio manager you can get in what level is your phone's ringtone at, in what level is your phone's sound level at. Okay, all these things you can get it from these 2 lines of code. Now my code is much simpler. I've got the volume level. Okay, volume level of my phone, I'm getting it here. So inside this button, once you click on the play button, I'm going to check for in one more if condition, saying if volume level is less than 1. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Or you can say less than 5 if it is too small, or less than 3. Okay, all I am trying to do here is if it is at least on. If you have kept on mute, it will be less than 1. If you kept on mute, volume level will be 0. Okay, so if it is less than 1, then what I'm going to say, I'm going to tell the user to increase the volume. So I'm going to put a toast, like how your WhatsApp does. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a toast. So I'm going to choose create a new toast. Okay, here also I want you guys to notice there is one word which is full caps. What is that full caps? Length underscore short. What is that then? Constant value. Okay, if I change it to length underscore long, that's also a constant value. You cannot use anything else. You should use long or short. Okay, so context is this. Second one, what do you want me to display? I want to just say please turn the volume up. That's enough. Okay, I just put this word please turn the volume up, and then the next thing what I'm going to do is instead of short, I'll remove that word and see what are the things which toast has. Okay, please note there are 2 final or 2 constant values, length long, length short. Let me just choose long. That's all. So you'll see a small message saying that please turn the volume up. Okay, and if the volume level is less than 1. Okay, and I'm going to say else. When will you come to the else part? When the volume level is greater than 1. Okay, or if it is at least 1 and above, then I'll come to else part, then I'll start the music. Okay, I hope you got it. I just put 3 lines extra. Only thing for what am I trying to do with this is that if your phone has volume level as 0, which means you are on mute. Okay, so then what I will tell please increase the volume. I will not play the song. I'll just say please increase the volume, then try again. Okay, so once they increase the volume and I play, it should start playing. Let me just check whether this works or not. Now for this, please note I'm not changing the volume level anywhere. So I don't require any permission from the audio manager. I am just asking the audio manager what is the level of volume you have in the phone. Okay, if it is 0 or if it is less than 1, I am telling you please increase this one. You can change this level to anything you guys. Okay, I just left it as this. Okay, you can also print what is the volume level currently in your phone when you open this. When you click on the play button, you can also try that. I'll do that next time. Let me just come here. Okay, so let me run this app, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the volume. Okay, I'll put it as 0. Now I'm going to change this code into a small way. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say every time you click on the play button, I'm going to show you what is the volume level in your phone. So I'm going to put a simple toast and say what is the volume level. I'll say volume level, and I'll just concatenate that with the one which I got from the audio manager. Okay, so whether you are playing the song or not, I just wanted to show me the volume level. Let me just run my app once again. Okay, guys, please try it in your system. So with this, I'll stop for today, guys.